Hey guys, on this episode of Watch with Poppy, we are going to be talking about this week's episode of The Vampire Diaries. The episode title is "Oh Come All Ye Faithful," just in time for the holidays. Woohoo! So speaking of the holidays, I find it interesting that this episode takes us out to the cabin where we find Bonnie and Shane, who are there to try to help Jeremy stop wanting to try to kill his sister, basically. But as we zoom in on the cabin, Jeremy's outside chopping wood in his wife beater, which I just find kind of hilarious because it's winter outside. But what can we say? It's the CW, which means that all male stars must be shirtless at least 30 to 40% of the time. And hello, Jeremy's been working out. Somebody's been in the gym during hiatus because wowza. Part of the point of this episode is, yes, Shane and Bonnie trying to help Jeremy not want to kill Elena. And let's talk about Elena for a moment, because honestly, Elena has been so annoying to me this season that part of me wishes that they would just let Jeremy go ahead and kill her. I'm just kidding, of course, because there's a part of me that does love Elena. I do like her as a character, but she's just been so annoying. And I know that's part of her, like, transition, you know, like, because now she's a vampire and she's trying to figure that all out and everything's heightened, all of her emotions are heightened and intensified. But it's like she went from sometimes annoying to, like, annoying 90% of the time. Meanwhile, of course, we've got Tyler trying to gather the wolves, and they're gonna do what they're doing. And Haley, of course, is backstabbing because we know she's bad. The whole time we knew that, or at least I did. And Caroline's, of course, still doing the flirty flirt with Klaus. And is it real, or is she just flirty flirt? And is that trying to turn into something real? I don't know. So that's all going on as well. So let's talk about what's going on at the cabin. So, of course, yes, they're trying to break Jeremy from his whole, you know, I'm a hunter and now I want to kill my sister. And in the end, they decide that they're going to use his affection for Bonnie. You know, that when he thinks that he wants to kill his sister, he should think of Bonnie. He should take a different path or whatever, right? And let's talk about Bonnie for a second, because I really like Bonnie, and I just feel like she is really underused quite a lot. I mean, it's like you don't see Bonnie for episodes, and then it's like she shows back up, and when she comes back around, you know, that must mean we need a spell or something, or we need the Bonnie to witch us up some goody good witchness. You know, she's kind of like an ornamental character to some degree, so they pull her out when they need somebody to do a spell, and then you don't see her again. So I wish we would see more of Bonnie. Okay, now let's get on to this whole Damon, Elena, and Stefan business. Because obviously, after last week's episode, Damon is supposed to kind of break this sire bond with Elena. He's supposed to tell her to go away and forget about him. But of course he doesn't tell her at the end of the last episode. So let's talk about the whole Stelena debate for a moment. I'm just gonna go ahead and admit to you all up front that I love Stefan Salvatore. I am a Stelena fan from the beginning to the end. I just am, right? But I wanted to say that honestly, but the truth is that I get the Delena thing. I totally do, right? I get why Elena would fall for both of these guys, because they're both great. I totally get that. And, you know, Damon has this, like, whole tragic kind of bad boy broken vibe going on with him. And there's part of you that pulls for Damon, right? Because you want him to finally get what he wants, you know? Like, I mean, like, his dad didn't love him as much as he loved Stefan. Then he fell in love with Catherine, and then she didn't really love him. She was in love with Stefan. So it's like he's got this pattern in his life that keeps repeating itself, and you want Damon to catch a break. Which is why I was kind of annoyed with the whole sire bond thing. And I just want to say that I called that from the beginning of the season. I thought that in my head, and I thought there's no way they're going to do that, and then they did, so I totally called that. So my objection to what's been happening in the last couple of episodes is not just because I'm a Stelena fan. It's because I think it's unfair to Damon, because it seems really unreal and fakey. And I hate that for him, you know, like, I want it to be real for him, because that's, you know, you want that for him, because he deserves that, and because I think he's such a great character. So I think that's what bothers me about what's been going on. So it makes me wonder if they're gonna find the whole cure thing. This is the Poppy theory. Lounge. That's where we've gone to now. The theory of what could possibly happen. What if, you know, they do find the cure, and then she goes back to being human, and then those feelings that she has for Damon goes away. Maybe it's just because she's a vampire, that means she's more in love with Damon when she's a vampire, but when she's human, she's more in love with Stefan. I don't know. I don't know where they're going with it, but we'll see, I guess. We'll see. Of course, then, kind of one of the big shockers of this episode is, you know, Haley finally shows her true colors to Tyler, and Klaus slaughters all of the hybrids who have you know, basically wasted the last month of their life torturing themselves, trying to break the sire bond, and then they do that, and then he kills them all, right? Yeah, the big shocker, of course, was Klaus killing Mrs. Lockwood, man. That was like, and as soon as first of all, I'm thinking, this woman has lived in this town for how long? What is she doing out at dark? You know, like, she knows that this man is, I don't know what she was thinking. And she was kind of drunk, right? But he killed her, and it was just like, okay, you know, once again, the Vampire Diaries is, I just feel like as a show, they're not afraid to do crazy things, and that was a crazy thing, so I was a little freaked out by that. So I guess we'll see what that will do to Tyler, because he's going to be, like, on the rampage for Klaus now. The other thing I'll note about that scene, though, is it was a little weird that he's, like, killing her while there's, like, this chipper Christmas music playing in the background. Did anybody else notice that? It was just kind of like, I think they were trying to be like, ooh, isn't this kind of like a contrast? Like, death with happy Christmas music, but it was just weird. It was just, yeah, it was just a little strange. Okay, then of course at the end we've got the scene, you know, not the end, but towards the end we've got the scene with Caroline and Stefan where they're at the house, because now they're like all of a sudden BFFs for life. And Caroline, the biggest mouth in town, people. I mean, it's like the woman can't keep a secret to save her life. And she blabs, of course, about the fact that Elena and Damon have slept together. There's always a point, really, in every Vampire Diaries episode where I start talking to the television. It's usually towards the end of the episode, or at some point that I start yelling at the TV, and as soon as she, like, said it, or, you know, like, gave him that, like, the hint that it had possibly happened, I just was just like, oh, step it. I mean, like, the look on his face was just so heartbroken, as he was just asking her, like, what are you saying, Caroline? You know, and I'm just like, oh, he's gonna be so hurt when he finds out, and I just hate that for him. I totally do. I love Paul Wesley, the guy who plays Stefan Salvatore. He's such a good actor, and yeah, it just was that scene was really heartbreaking, and I wanted to kill Caroline, because that woman just, ugh. But I guess if she's really being a friend, then you would tell your friend that. I would totally tell my friend that, hey, they slept together. You need to know that. I was excited at the end of the episode at just even the thought that possibly Rebecca was going to get undaggered and we were going to get some more originals up in the house. Where is Elijah at? Bring Elijah back. I'm ready for him to come back too. So many shows are going into their winter finales, which, who made that up? I can't stand it. Which means then we'll be waiting another like 4 or 5 weeks before we get a new episode, which just really sucks. Okay, guys, thanks so much for checking out this episode of Watch with Poppy. I do reviews on lots of other TV shows. Make sure you check those out if you're interested. Also, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks again for watching, you guys. Bye! Go, Stefan.